All right, so I'm going about reading Genesis and stuff, and I'm kind of going over everything, just make sure I got everything right, and make sure I can print it and kind of adjust it and orientate it just so it's chronologically fit, but it's not supposed to, so it fits the story. But one thing I found in Genesis was that it's kind of weird, but it's kind of like it mentions two different types of like there's two trees there, and a tree resembles and what they do is they a tree is a person. A tree is like you know how his sister says you could tell a tree by its fruit. Your fruit would be the words you put forward, your children, your actions. That is your fruit. So you can tell a tree by its fruit by basically what it puts forward. Okay. So let's just say I'm a walnut tree. The Virgin Mary is a cherry tree. Women are peaches, and yeah, so on and so forth. So right here, when it's actually talking to about a tree. Now these are all it's symbology, and it's kind of like in a way of a parable. In a way, it's a I don't know what word it's called, a metaphor, a simile, or one of the two. But I found here it says, and the river went. Blah, blah, blah. Hold on, it says, and out of the ground the Lord to every pleasant. No, no, no. Okay. It says, and out of the ground made the Lord God to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So now they keep on talking about this fruit of this tree or something else, whatnot. That as soon as Adam and Eve left, that the tree withered up or something happened to it. I happen to believe that it was two. There was two angels in the garden. Okay, there was an angel of good and evil, and then there was another angel that was a tree of life. I don't know exactly who it is, okay, but like, okay, now they say that the angel in the garden was God's most beautifulest angel. Now that's kind of the thing that kind of fits with me, that doesn't go good with me there, is that the archangels were actually real. They were saints. These were they were medians, I guess. What would you say? They were an in between here and us and God, to help us kind of understand the meanings of God and the good in God, because God's like way too good. So they were actually real. They were put here. They're called the seven virtues of heaven, starting with Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel, Zazatel or Zaza, something I can't remember. But they said that Michael, the firstborn, being the most like God, having the most knowledge, having the most things like God and everything, whatnot. Now, how I don't really see anything being more beautiful than Michael. I mean, Michael would have to be God's most beautifulest angel, considering that he was most like God. Okay, so something about the Bible, like there's a story that's being written, but that's told by somebody that pulled a Machiavelli. Now I found a whole bunch of documentation, and depending on what part of the world I'm at, if I VPN myself over to like Europe and stuff like that, when you look up if you Google the fallen ain't. I mean, if you think back in King's days, when we actually used to actually use terminology like that, like for a king to fall or anything else, when not, is because they got taken. They're dead. They're fallen. And what happens back in those days, with the way all kingdoms were, is if you took a kingdom, their soldiers became yours. It was their kingdom now. They would hand over their the people would basically now command you. Their soldiers would be yours. So if you look across, if you Google a VPN, because we're in a bubble right now, you're only getting the information that they want you to have here in the United States. If you VPN yourself to Europe, or if you pay, you can VPN yourself pretty much anywhere in the world. Now, if you do that, you're gonna see that now when you look at the fallen, they're not talking about Azazel and the 200. They're talking about Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, Raphael, um, of them being the fallen. So after reading and checking more things out, I found that I'm taking, and then I found some other things, but that for one, the saints were real. Okay, they weren't archangels. They didn't have halos. They didn't have, they were actually here. They were kings. The first two being Michael and Gabriel. Now, back before they messed up the calendar, and the reason why would they do that, is because they were trying to mess up the scribes. So they were trying to take people. They were trying to take this kingdom. Okay, they're going to steal it from God, right? From the people, from the rightful owners, which were Gabriel and Michael. But they weren't really here to rule as king. They were here as big brother to watch over us and to help us evolve. And they're all for that. They're taking their first job as being like God, and God serves. God has been nothing but serving his entire time. He still serves now, holding up his kingdom and stuff, whatnot, and basically flexing to keep our universe growing, because the stars are ours. As long as we do everything right, and he doesn't have to start us over again, we'll be fine. We can go ahead and move forward. He won't dust us off like he did the first time. But we are on our second leg. But anyways, yeah. So the angels were real. Okay, so I'm thinking it was like a rivalry, like a sibling rivalry. When you favorite some kids will sit there and well, it's kind of rude to do that. You shouldn't do that to children. But I mean, what they didn't understand is it wasn't a blessing. It was a job. We had to sit there. To serve and to be for man wasn't like to rule over them. That's not what God intended them for, or God intended any of that for. They were here as big brother to take care of us, which is the reason why we didn't have to do anything when we first got here. Okay, and after we jacked up and defied God at the beginning, what people don't understand is Revelations didn't happen. It doesn't happen at the end. It might be at the end of the book, but Revelations is basically something that God told us. It'd be like a parent telling us, "Don't do this because of that." And then out of nowhere you do it, and what are you gonna do as a parent? Well, you're gonna live it out because you've already made a mistake. So a revelation was something that God told us not to do, basically defy him, and we chose the devil over God. So our revelation started at the beginning. It started at the pearl, okay, and something raged war against man and God. Now, according to the passages, now I've read stuff from all over the world. I read from the Quran, I read the Bibles, I've read original Bibles, I've read languages I don't even speak. I even read Egyptian hieroglyphs. I figured out the what do you call that? The Rosetta Stone. The Rosetta Stone wasn't a language, wasn't anything. It was a crypt. Okay, when you look at hieroglyphs and stuff on on temples and stuff, whatnot. Shit. On temples, those are crypts. Okay, these were they were basically like you encrypt shit whatnot today, but we use very high tech stuff. But that was their high tech, and it actually did pretty good because without the Rosetta Stone, they never would have got it. But in all, it adheres to the original alphabet, A B C H D. I don't think there's a well. It was easy. I actually have the alphabet. I'm going to be putting back the alphabet into the book so you guys can see what it used to look like. And I'm going to get some words and show you guys exactly how adding the extra vowels and the extra letters, the P through Z, because God said he was the Alpha and the Omega, which is kind of cool because when you think about it, what came first? God saying that or the Greek alphabet? Okay, so when you think about that, it's a double whammy because he wrote that. He was talking about the Greek alphabet and stuff way before the Greek alphabet was even here, which is kind of cool because nobody really notices that. They just hear, they don't understand, or they don't really try to pay attention to the logic that he's saying, and they just take it for whatever it is. When he was saying he's the beginning and the end, and then he said he's they called it the Aleph back where they were at, the Alpha and the Omega. That's A through O. That was the entire alphabet. Okay, so who changed it? Well, I found that some people on an island were actually changed. They were inventing. Now the funny thing is, they say that they're inventing languages. How the hell can you invent a language? I know every single language in one. Okay, it's because we know the word. Now, when you know the word, you know every language. So everybody speaks in the word. One is one, two is two, three is three, and so on and so forth. All around the world, it's the same thing. So the word was already here. What were they doing on this island? Inventing new languages. Because they said that they'd bring it back or they'd try it out, and then, like, if they had time. So I don't know how long it'd take for somebody to. And then what were they actually doing it in? Sign language or whatever, whatnot? That means they already had a written word and they were doing something with it, is what you need to understand. So they're, I'm thinking, adding all these beautiful vowels and stuff, whatnot, and they want to. I'm pretty sure they're going to probably rub it off as an evolution. There's not an evolution into a word, especially when you add vowels. There's certain things that allowed you to talk down now. So the word before someone got a hold of it, messed it all up. And what they did is, well, out came the word fuck and dick and asshole, and now we got a vulgar language. So we got a vulgar language. We've got something that literally puts, what do you call that thing? A neurological toxin into our water supply. Now, they say that they're worried about our smile. Okay, they're worried about our smile. I don't see what's up. But they also they needed a study to see whether a neurological toxin was bad for you. It came back that it was a neurological toxin is very bad for you. So two countries have already removed it, except for the United States. Don't understand why they wouldn't, but let's just say after researching and knowing of the neurological system, the kind of things that would happen to a person that would be drinking even a watered down version of this stuff. Because I mean, if you had it with your bare hands, it'll actually eat you to the bone. Okay, so this stuff, what it does is it makes you easily programmable and very easily manipulatable. Okay, dude, it damages your fucking nervous system. You're gonna start having things like what are those nervous disorders? A friend of mine has it, and I starting to see that. I mean, she is a water drinker, so be looking on having water. Water. Anything in excess kills. Okay, so there's this lady that won a. It doesn't make no sense, but check this out. Tell me if you guys figure out the problem. All right, so there's this lady that won a water drinking competition and she won a car, right? Now, this person was racing on home, but she never made it home. She died of kidney failure. Now, the body is designed so anything in excess, it'll actually bypass you. It'll just keep it going. It'll bypass whatever the fuck that you don't need and just straight out the bottom part, right? Water's the same way. What is this? Water's exactly the same way. Okay, so now the part that gets me is how the hell did she die? Because when, let's say, I don't know if you've ever taken tests like where you're supposed to dilute your system or drink I don't know how much water, because after so much, your body just starts basically letting it go through. Okay, so it naturally supposed to, but the thing is it doesn't. Okay, well it does, but this lady died from kidney failure. I don't think it was water. Water can't. I don't think can kill you if it was pure. But we do have a neurological toxin in it. Now, what people don't understand is this neurological toxin goes in your drinking water. It's what waters our plants. It's what waters our food, or gives our. So basically, by the time it gets to us, the water alone is not the only thing that we're getting. We're getting it from our plants. You are what you eat. Okay, so we're gonna get it from our plants. We have neurological toxin in our meat, we have it in our water supply, we have it in anything that makes. So basically now our actually it's way above and like if you're supposed to allow a toxin, a chemical toxin, a neurological toxin to be into your body, there's no amount of what is and what isn't okay. Like, seriously, we're a neurological system. It's what operates us. It's how we feel. It's how we respond. It's how we our emotions, how we communicate, how we learn, every single thing. And the last thing that actually happens, you have a thing I call God's Wi-Fi, right? That connects you to God. Having this stuff in your system actually blocks you off. It damages the pituitary gland, or that one little thing. It's part of your cerebral cortex, or your visual cortex. It goes to either your eyes and that, or your two inputs that go into your that help you see things. One of them is God's. One of them is from your Wi-Fi from God. You connect to them, and then another one isn't. So now you have all these things going. So you have something jacking up our calendar. You have something jacking up, well, basically our systems. They're literally, they jacked up our language so that we wouldn't. Okay, put it this way: Have you guys ever seen those V8 commercials where you're like walking at a 15-degree like slant and stuff or not? That's us. Okay, but that's with everything going against us. Our language is backwards. Our numerical system's off. The Dewey Decimal System is fucking wrong. Well, I know the Dewey Decimal System is right, but when you incorporate the Dewey Decimal System with the dollar decimal and use a number that's 0 through 9, where 0 is the first number to the 10th power, and then 1 is relevant because the first number is already taken. So 0 and 1 basically are floating values. Okay, it basically makes it and allows it, when you incorporate it with the Dewey Decimal System and the dollar decimal system, makes kind of for a lucky leprechaun. Like to say in front of an auditor, it's a magic trick, and I'm probably pretty sure I'm the only one in the world that's figured this out. But right in front of an auditor while they're reprinting money and shit whatnot, they can actually take for the 10th power, and they would. It's like a magic trick. They would never fucking even know. This guy would be walking out with a garbage bag and shit whatnot, and they would never even know. So they could tax the dollar and stuff whatnot, or put it in front of you and say we're taxing and we have to pay for this much and that. But in all honesty, no, they're really not. They've already taken it, so they can keep some money for themselves. I'm pretty sure they do. So that's your numerical system. It would work just fine, but until once we incorporate it with the Dewey Decimal and the dollar decimal, that number goes to shit. So, and then on top of that, they're all panhandlers. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but every single time you do taxes, they never give you back your change. You have something with change, so it's anywhere from a penny to 99. They don't round you off; they keep it all. So they basically keep a whole dollar doing taxes. I did the math, and let me see. In 2020, there was how many? What is it? 1,111,800. No, 2,000. No. 111,811,000. Yeah, and that was just the first year. People could still. There's probably more. Okay, now they will hold your taxes up to 3 years. Now this is the crazy part, because they made $111,811,000 on taxes, give or take 10%. Okay, let's just say their tax bracket is perfect. No matter what, they'll always have change. I've seen that too. They're freaking genius. These guys are about their money. All right, so now this is awesome. So check this out. So they're panhandling from us in 2000 and 2020 alone. They got panhandled from us, just our change alone, $111 million. That's fucking insane, right? And I'm pretty sure they put that money towards, I don't know, helping our Social Security, our benefits, anything that's actually needed, considering they're such great government officials, right? All right, well, that's hardly to say. Now, the crazy thing about it is that there's a whole bunch of unclaimed taxes. Now, this is where it gets fucking insane. It's more than you can imagine. Oh my God. So I started thinking of exactly how much money it is. And it's funny because they'll keep your record up to 7, which is bullshit, especially if you've. There's been studies that. I'll go into that later. But they'll only keep record of your taxes for up to 3 years. Okay. And after that, they pretty much forget about them. Of course, I would want to forget about them too. But then I started doing exactly how many taxes and stuff when I'm checking out. It's in the trillions. That's how much fucking money is not claimed for every fucking year. It's in the trillions, like trillions of fucking dollars is just gone. Now that's fucking crazy. So I'm sitting here looking at all different types of way to try to find money to help us with COVID and the deficit and everything else, but not trying to figure out like and then plus we're missing $45 trillion. Don't know how you can miss that. 9 point something trillion was from just our secretary from our federal budget, and which is crazy because the Pentagon, Trump just fucking ordered it was an audit on the Pentagon, and these motherfuckers are missing 35 trillion fucking dollars. Now, a couple years ago, when this is addressed to the treasurer, because she was missing 7 something, right? I mean, I can understand. It's a lot of money. Hey, I've lost. I went to Vegas and I sat there and my wife was pissed, but I blew a couple on gambling, another couple trillion on hookers and liquor and but it's basic bullshit. How the hell do you lose? A million? Okay. A billion? Alright. A few billion? $45 trillion. It's enough to give us all, every man, woman, and child in the United States, with the Social Security number, even the bum on the streets, $130,000 apiece. So if you have 4 children in the home and a mom and dad, what would that be? 130 times 2, 260, 520, 520. Yeah, 520. You'd be about 7 to say 4 children, and you'd be looking at a pretty penny. Because they don't have to be working, they don't have to be anything. It's enough money to give every man, woman, and child. And it's funny because they barely even bat an eye. They mention it, but they don't do shit about it. 2 years later, it started out at 7 trillion, and then 2 years later, it's back in front of Congress. They want to check up on what's up at what they found. And the secretary she's a weirdo. She's sitting there, she was more concerned with that it was an investigation. It's nothing to investigate. I'm like, dude, you're missing money, and that's you can stack this 45 trillion on $100 bills and it'll go about 4 miles into space. That's a lot of fucking money. How does that actually just disappear? And you like that's a shitload of money. So okay, so we find this, right? So I can understand mistakes happen, whatever. I'm not gonna, say that they're embezzling or doing or cheating or whatever or not. But then I found that Nixon disconnected the gold bar from the dollar. So I'm like, dude, how the hell is this piece of paper actually getting its value? So I started digging around and I checked and I found that we own the blood dollar now. But besides that, dude, they're having a hard time with COVID, and since they've disconnected the actual fucking the dollar, why don't they give us our money? Like, why don't they get us like a check? Because I'm not really big on gold. You can go ahead and keep the gold if you guys are all about that. Just cut me off a check, because I heard that they're actually selling it to Russia now, which pisses me off because it's not their fucking gold. It was the United States people's gold. So just because Nixon took one for the team and did a look this way Watergate, fucking disconnect the dollar and I boost this shit. Well, he disconnected the fucking dollar and reconnected it to oil. How do you do that? Well, you make treaties with the people that make it or that sell it, and you basically the only thing that we have to offer is our military. So we made deals with them and told them, hey, as long as you sell the oil on the American dollar, you have to sell on the American dollar, dude, it's better than gold. But the thing was, is we now have to fight their battles. How did we approve that, or how did that happen? We declared war on terrorism, which made it open access. Now we can just go out there. We plan a couple. Have you? I never really looked into ISIS too much, because ISIS kind of, I thought it was just their business. We concern ourselves with. We need to clean up our own backyard before we should go about doing anything else. But then I looked into it. Dude, these motherfuckers have military tattoos, American. Dude, I don't know if they're doing that on purpose, or if it's just ridiculous, or if it's, you don't know what to believe anymore. It's all a show. It's all a shag the dog, wag the dog kind of thing. Well, the point was, at the beginning, was that somebody was trying very fucking hard. Just like the Cassid, I call them Cassid. They didn't fall. They pulled a Machiavelli. Okay? Like I said, the devil's biggest feat is to make us believe that he didn't exist. Now, I do know as a fact that these things were deaf, dumb, and stupid. They were far from God and were disconnected. It's something that happens automatically, and I could tell you about it. I've been using the guys in my head to kind of see exactly how far they get and why, and exactly what it is that they don't get life anymore. And it's because of how they became. It's kind of weird. They made their reality something that's not a reality. Okay, it's all based off lies. So to them, it's real. I mean, shit, do not oppose anybody's reality. People actually tend to get really pissed off about it because it's your reality, it's your sanity, it's what you know. So it's not automatic that they get upset because of their lies. It's what they know. It's what they do best. It's the only thing they know. One day they told a lie, and it's a pretty serious lie. It's the kind of lie that, you only tell, well, you don't lie to your, kind of, sort of, depends on who you are, how jacked up you are. But when you lie, you're usually lying to somebody else because you're hiding something or you did something wrong. So when God says, do not lie, it meant more than, God does not pound his chest. He does not, he's not Tarzan, okay? He tells you more of it's in your best interest. And honestly, as far as lying, it's kind of funny when you look at the Ten Commandments. The Ten Commandments literally tell you exactly what blasphemy against the Holy Ghost is, and they put it real simply. And instead of questioning why or whatever, not, he's your father, he's your creator, he loves you. He was doing it because he told you because it's in your best. He wasn't telling you because you should or because you shouldn't. Or it's literally in your best interest because it's blasphemy against the Holy Ghost. See, the Holy Ghost is I don't know. I don't think you guys are ready for that one. Nobody ever really. See, I've gone to church after church. I've gone to the Catholic. Oh, I was born in Catholicism. I learned the stories through Jehovah's Witnesses. I saved under Christianity. I've saved under both churches. The one with woman and a woman God and man God, and that one freaked me out. It was real easy and real basic. So then I ran to my mom's church and asked him to save me again. So I've literally been saved under every single Christianity. Okay, and I know them all. I've read the Catholic churches, or I know the Catholic, in Spanish, por la señal de Santa Cruz de nuestros enemigos, líbranos, Señor Dios nuestro, en el nombre del Hijo del Espíritu Santo, amen. And there are a whole bunch of little crosses all over. Crazy thing about the Catholics is they spend their times praying to everybody else but God. Now, it's cool to talk to and ask, but that was back in the days when they were still here. They were here to mediate and talk to you and kind of help you evolve. They're like Big Brother, basically. It was their first job to serve as a king, a true king. A true king isn't about himself, it's about his people. It's about, it's not about power over the people, it's about you for the people. They're the way they were trying to help us. They were here like Big Brother trying to help us evolve. Okay. And and once you get to know God, like, oh my God, you can understand like why they were needed, because God's way too much for us to come down. Now, doesn't mean that he can't. It's just we're like way down here and he's way up there. So he gave us them. Okay, he calls them the 7 virtues of heaven. Okay, now the 7 virtues were to oppose the 7 deadly sins, and the 7 deadly sins, now they were real too. They were allotted to the 7 devils. They're the 7 princes of the devil. Okay, they all have names: Lucifer and Mammon. God, where they are. They were all allotted to sin. Okay, one of them was allotted gluttony. One of them was allotted. As a matter of fact, I have it right here. Check this out. Give me a second here while I look up the laws. There's gonna be a section of law that I've researched into, and once I started, I was actually incarcerated for something that I didn't do when I was younger, things like emotions, and the judge pissed me off, so I spent my entire time researching law, studying law, and then once I found God, and He kind of gave me the you'd come to understand that the church and everything is inside you. You are the church. You're the law. You're the church. You're the courts. You really don't need any of that. Especially if you know it yourself. And when you actually educate yourself, and I can teach you something better than Harvard Law just by teaching you the definition of law itself. Everything is in the Word. If you listen to the Word, it tells you literally. No matter how, and what's great is whoever did this. The funny thing is, at the beginning, okay, the angels of God, our archangels, our saints, they called the pearl in a project, and every project that I've done has its beginning, its end, and it builds, right? And then the other ones, the bad ones, the fallen or the casted, they called it the experiment, all right, and then God called it the pearl, and we know it as the garden. But it was like if something had to happen, you could throw, yeah, like that one. You get what you earn, but what you deserve is life. Race is my first name. Knowledge, you earn to listen. Okay, that's the listening. Deprogramming words. Any word that causes doubt. Word that from people you respect, look up to, or love could cause you to lose your will to see in you or have the want to. They can be used to drop a man and hinder his own belief in himself. They too can be used to drop one trying to drop you. Most people that use stupid or dummy or physical ways of doing things are mostly categorized as bullies. Bullies in short are suffering from their own trauma or lack of something that was made or was made or is a problem for the bully. Most bullies are weak by nature and cave to the same form of bullying they are dishing out. Most likely they suffer the same thing. A place in someone's life is important as well. Not just anyone could walk up to you and start calling you stupid unless they used people that were close to you, like friends and family, but then that would just be gang stalking. Give some reference to gang stalking links. People can go and educate themselves to assure they don't get caught up in the middle of one serving as a devil's soul fest. Killing the victim through life and social links, killing the victim's will and hope, and ultimately killing the person if person is working long enough. Is a weaker man. They target easily made targets. People already not favored by society. How you can be a nice guy in a story I know, and the victim made the culprit. Alright. They use something called the GBD10 quick deletion. The GBD10 quick deletion. Government files? How'd you get that? It's public information. That's how. All right, I also found a name that is used by the federal government. It's called the GBD10 quick deletion. They've been using it since far back as Hitler. It's they basically do everything that gang stalking is. But the funny thing, it's been here since that long. They've been using. Well, Christ was the first gang stalker, and they haven't stopped. It's the only thing they know. They act like speakers. They're fucking ignorant, fucking tweaker ass motherfuckers. They jam. And the funny thing is they make no sense. Their code or their crypt is something so childish that basically for you to be talking about it would sound as if you were a tweaker. And mine was in my head, and I was talking to somebody that was I guess they do this in real life. I've never seen anybody like that. 'Cause I'd chase them down and beat the shit out of them. But I guess they do like street opera or all this, and I hear about it, and it sounds fucking ridiculous. To tell you the truth, it sounds like fucking insane. It doesn't sound like something anybody would be doing. So, who the hell would do that and have so many resources or have money to be able to do that? Like the resources too, because from what I heard of it, it sounds like a lot of shit goes into it. It's gaslighting or mooning or gas, whatever the fuck that thing is. All the names are fucking ridiculous. It's a human trafficking. Human trafficking and GBD10 quick deletion. Where the fuck did it go? They call it the quick deletion and shit because you actually delete your ass from fucking. It's their way that they use to fucking delete your ass from society. And even a better way. There we go. This is my mother's. I have so many notebooks. Alright, so the quick deletion is something they've been using around since, anytime they've used a camp. So, first, when it started back in the days, it started with Hitler. The first camp was a concentration camp for the Jews. Now, I used my VPN. I went over to study Judaism, and it kind of got caught up with their history, like what they say, because every history is different. And what I found is they call, for some reason, they call the person in the garden scapegoat, which everybody knows what a scapegoat is, and they don't really pay too much mind. And then I started looking into who and what, and I started following bloodlines of the things that ruled then, and you'd be surprised, they kind of led up to today. I have a big old list of names of people that that basically have taken on different names, but life is in the blood. Their life is in the blood. You can't hide from your bloodline. So I followed the bloodlines and stuff, whatnot, and they're all here. They're all here in the United States. All right, so Nixon, Dallas, Hawaii, 1960 last added star. Oh. Hawaii, the 1960 last added star, Puerto Rico, see, but that's just it. I also found that plus I'm a computer networker, computer programmer, A+ certified, software, I can build you anything, I just play stupid. Alright, it says a template DBG10, this is from actual, it looked like they documented it, it looked like it was a book, it was government fucking files, and you needed a special application to fucking blow it up, it wouldn't let you. But this I found I call it the Viafuck. Okay, there's a certain way that you can enter in a Google search or whatever or not, and it takes you to a totally different part of the internet that you didn't even know was there. So I have pictures of all this. I'd have to I have things in safe places and stuff whatnot, because a lot of my stuff just I get home and like all my stuff gets, like all my notes are gone. My things are jumbled. I'm missing so many documents and stuff. And these are my notes. The reason I do notes is because it helps me learn faster. And at the same time, it's unhackable. You can't hack my notes unless you're stalking somebody and basically doing what the fuck they do, which is fuck with my everything. They've gotten into my things, they thought that I started marking my phones and stuff like there, especially if they're brand new. I'd leave them out somewhere just to test waters. So I started marking my phones, and sure enough, my fucking phone started getting switched out. They just didn't know how to mark it. I don't really pity. If they wanted it, they could have had it. If they want, oh, I appreciate that much. Fucking these. What I do now is an open book. What I do? None of your fucking business. If you want to know, here you go. What are you going to do with that information, huh? How about we find out what you're doing? You sons of weasels. And that's when I came up with digital law. It's probably something I'm going to be picking up with Congress. My logic is impeccable. Digital law. It'll prevent things like this from... Alright, so this is what it is. It says template DBG10. Now, I took this, but there's more notes that I actually got into it. It says criteria for speedy deletion. Now this is a FBI, this is a federal file right here. It says disparage or threaten its subjects or some other entity, pretty much. Libel, legal threats. Libel threats, tell them this and that. Legal threats, most of them bullshit. Material intended purely to harass or intimidate a person, or an R-tide, what is that? An R-tide about a living person, or an R-tide about a living person. That is English neg in tone and source, to where there is no neutral version in the history to revert to see CSD G10. Alright, last edited. Now this is funny. Last edited, because this is I found in, but this you won't find this online. This is only if you know actually how to get there. So there's a great called the Conquistador, the Great Hernan, the Conquistador of Mexico. Now, this conquistador conquered Mexico. Okay, now if he conquered Mexico, what did he do with it? Because he was coming from Spain, right? And Spain just got done, I guess, beating the shit out of the Irish, right? Because I'm of the Black Irish. We were slaves. I was also enslaved. My people were enslaved by the Spaniards, supposedly. But I know it wasn't the Spaniards, because what I know took them, usually would take them and then use their names. Alright, so that way history would remember them and not them. So they would come forward. So if you heard of the Viking Great, or the Danish Swedish Great Army, it wasn't the Danish Swedish Great Army, it was the Viking Great Army. Now, the Viking Great Army, they were the ones that were known for naming an island the opposite of something, so that people would stay away from it. So they actually would brag about saying or doing that. And then forgot that maybe one day, someday, somehow, somebody might be an information junkie and love knowledge, right? Keep on looking for things, especially when I was just trying to find information for my book. I was trying to find my bloodlines and stuff, and a good burger joint. But I found a whole bunch of other stuff. For one, there's things in the Bible that just didn't make sense. And now this is kind of cool that I just seen that they're talking about two trees. Now, remember how at the beginning there was one that was there to take care of them and be there for them, and then there was one that was put in front of the actual gates to guard it, so that nobody can enter, nobody can come in or out. It was the guardian. Okay, so I'm thinking that there was two angels. And there's even another story. There's another story that dates back 100,000 years, when they found another civilization. You most likely you don't know about it. Nobody really knows about it to this day. But it did exist, and which makes sense, because we actually came from not Adam and Eve like this time. We actually are from two people, but from 100,000 years ago. Now, we also did come from two that was set in the garden. Okay, so although we did come from somebody or something that is of a person, okay, 100,000 years ago, we did actually come from, because the garden was secluded. The garden was meant for just, it was supposed to evolve, just like the way God said, is we were supposed to have a wife, a child, a wife, a husband, a child, and then that's basically a part of evolution. So a man without a language, or without a written dialect, would not evolve. How could you? We wouldn't be able to tell the next person and not forget of something or whatnot. So what happens when you kill all the eldest of a tribe, of a place, or of an indigenous? You kill all the eldest, and you encamp the rest, the children and whatnot. And you separate the women from the children, and you encamp them, and you called it a reservation camp. So we went from a concentration camp to a reservation camp. And right now, check this out. We have something that's tearing you apart from your elders, from your mother, just like they did in the concentration camps, and they're calling it tender age camps. These fuckers with their camps. But it's the same thing. It's exactly what I've seen on them. It's exactly what I seen on the FBI files that I was going through. I have some buddies that are some very high-end hackers, so whoever the hell is actually doing this, whoever's in the vicinity within 20, 30, 40, 50 miles using any kind of, they already know who you are. They have advised me that they are watching. So what they do is they do a clean sweep of the area, they close in, and then before they make contact, they actually kind of block you off, block everything off. It's it's fucking wicked. So yeah, I have friends in very, very high and low places, because they're nerds. They're geeks, and I'm a geek. An undercover geek. But yeah, these are my buds. These are, they let me know that they were here. All eyes on whatever is here. So they basically gave me a rundown of everything, and they're the ones that showed me this Viafuck that I found, and it's kind of like a shaded gray area of trying to figure out how they would do that. And then I remembered Y2K, because this Y2K, VI2K, sounds so much like Y2K, doesn't it? It's because it is. They come like their translation of voice to skull technology. I found it first 5 years ago in a Tom Clancy book, but Tom Clancy, he's a fictional writer. He just has a lot of connections to these fucking idiots probably didn't know. These idiots didn't know that fucking Tom Clancy fucking already spilled the beans. So now they have this one guy going out, and then they don't know that I've actually did the research, and I found 16 scientists, okay? And each scientist contributed something different to it. One was the first initial inventor. They got the patent. I have the patent somewhere around here, which patented the Vitu-Cole. Now, the thing about Tom Clancy, it proves that the technology is government's, okay? Tom Clancy literally says, anything that I say in this book, the stories might be a little bit fiction, some played on actual true stories or not, but the technology is real. So the technology and everything that you read about in his books are real, and the first thing I seen was voice to skull technology. So we know that it is the government's, okay? They can bullshit. I mean, there's a guy that hung himself, and he said that it was his invention. I'll get you guys the names of these people here. Pierre Adrien Jimmy Jardin. It's Spanish little by Thomas Lynn. Usage of Wikipedia. But yeah, I do a lot of research. One thing that I do, if I don't know it, I will find it. If it's out there, I'll find it. I'm very good at utilizing my resources. And that's how I found all this interesting stuff. And because I've been being watched for a while. Oh yeah, so check this out. So Turing's one of my I found Turing because Turing is a test that you take in order to prove your artificial intelligence. I don't know why man's trying to. Well, if you're a dumb fuck that's left the light, I'm pretty sure that what they're trying to do is trying to make something or create something a little bit more intelligent, blah this now whatever, and then they can control it, like what they've been trying to do with the bloodline of Christ. All right, partners. Okay, so Turing machine. So this is everything that Turing was badass, dude. And so in the end, they're like glorifying him and whatever not. And then in the end, there's like, oh, he was gay and he died from poisoning. Seems to stop. That always seems to be the cause. So Turing. Let's see here. Alan Matheson Turing, OBFRS, blah, 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 June 23rd, 912 to 7, 1954. English mathematician, comp science, logician, cryptonologist, philosopher, and theological computer science. Formed algorithm and computations with the Turing machine, which can be considered a general-purpose computer. Nice, no shit. Alan Turing, c. 1928, 16 years old, born Alan Matheson Turing, 23 June 1912, Mary Valley, London, England. He was an Englander, nice. Died June 7, 1954, age 41 of poisoning. Winslow, cause of death, suicide, disputed by cyanide poisoning. Cyanide, yeah. Where the fuck did he get signed from? Rest place and crematorium, gardens scattered nationally. English education, Sherborne School, alma mater, University of Cambridge, blah 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 blah. Known for cryptanalysis of the enigma turn. Cryptanalysis of the enigma. Turing's proof. Turing machine. Turing test. Unorganized machine. Turing pattern. Turing reduction. The chemical basis of morphogenesis. What? The chemical basis of morphogenesis. I have to make sure something here. What is that? Where is my... Alright, so Turing reduction. Turing reduction. Unorganized machine, Turing pattern, Turing reduction. The chemical basis of morphogenesis. Morphogenesis. See, Joan Clark, engaged in 1941, did mayhem. What is this? Award Smith Prize 1936, Scientific Career, Cambridge 1936 by Ludwig Witt. Wait, Cambridge 1939 by Ludwig. Cambridge Ludwig. Fucking, come on, dude. Why would you use Ludwig? Who's Ludwig? 1939 by Ludwig Wittgenstein. Foundation of Mathematics. The Foundation of Mathematics. Turing defended formalism. Wittgenstein. Force view of mathematics does not discover any absolute truths. What? Force view of mathematics does not discover any absolute truths, but rather invents them. Turing, because numbers don't exist. That's actually smart. Alright, worked on naval enigma and bomb construction in Washington, and visited Computing Machine Laboratory in Dayton, Ohio. Ron's unless they are going to do something about it. Us to see about labs and develop secure speech devices. Hugh Alexander, head of Hut 8. Oh, yeah, right. Okay. Sarah Bartheson, 1790, was the wife of Dr. William Johnson. Oh, yeah. This is the house they lived in. Dead Paradise Bartleson, William Saria, and 3 children, all 10 aged between 10-26, farmhand, plus 10 years male, plus a 10-year-old male, 15 years son William, maid between 40 to 50, Dr. Johnson, between 50 to 60, blah, 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 female between 10 to 15, daughter Sarah, blah, 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 blah. Mary, 2 friends between clockmaker George, 17 to 15, Enos, Mary, what? Margaret. Reunited the two tracks, March 1847, census Enos and minus 17 Susanna. Girl age of 4 years, sold house on April 2nd, 1855, 2-5 Samuel Townsend. Stay low tracking their shit. They're so stuck on themselves. Alright, Aaron D. Royal Bomb. And they try to keep it in. I even had a letter of Ulysses S. Grant using our power to fucking our 20th century and 1925, Yersinia College Athletic Club became private residence of the college's athletics director Russell Jean Johnson. In 1950, sold to Andrew and Martha Real, sold to Perry L. Haas, and after death remembered Leonore. Founding of the Speaker's House, 1999, communication developers sought buy property and demo 4 drugstores, local resident saved house, local saved house, and founded in 501. Nonprofit in 2001, no 2001. Shut the fuck up. As Save the Speaker House and Company, bought prop on April 1st, 2004 and 2005, obtained a grant from the Institute of Museum Library Services that provided funds to begin researching the property and prep history structure report. What was so important about that? House built in 1763, owner John Schrack, Foundation of Fitting. That's where them lodges. Grant paid mortgage with a grant paid mortgage with the grant from the Montgomery County Greenfields Greentown Open Space Program. The Speaker House on 4/12/2008 Pennsylvania Historical Museum commissioned roadside marker was dedicated for memory legacy of Frederick Moldenberg, Catherine Schaffer Moldberg, Joseph Wright, Trapp, Pennsylvania, Frederick Augustine, Conrad Moulton, 17 Joseph blah, 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 Speaker. Oh, here we go. Speaker of the U.S. House of Reps, established by Article 1, Section 2 of the U.S. Constitution. First Congress elected Muhlenberg for Speaker on April 1st, 1789. New York City equals first capital of the United States. Who is this guy? First Congress elected Muhlenberg for Speaker. Muhlenberg. How do you research Muhlenberg? Muhlenberg. Muhlenberg was the first speaker on April 1789. That was way before, of course. Albert Pike wasn't even around yet. New York City. First capital of the United States. First capital. Wow. That's crazy. How can it? What the fuck? Whatever. Philadelphia equals second capital of. Oh, Philadelphia. No shit. Philly. Go Philly. Philadelphia. Philly. Second capital. All right, Washington, D.C. under construction from 1790 to November 1800. Yeah, 1788, remodeled by Pierre Charles L'Enfant. George Washington hired to design capital city on the Potomac River. First style federal architecture, Federal Hall, when First Nations seated government under Constitution in 1789. Under Constitution. Fucking that Georgie boy, that cherry cheese chopping motherfucker. Alright, met Congress March 1st, George W., first President of the United States on 4/30. 4/30, what that means? Anything? It's January, March, April. Item 5.2. Oh, the fuck you say. Proposed initial ratification of the Bill of Rights to the U.S. Constitution, 12 originally, 10 later adopted on September 25th, 1789. U.S. Bill of Rights propped in Federal Hall, freedoms claimed by Stamp Act Congress, 1992, and 11th of the initial 12 proposed amendments was adopted as the 27th Amendment. Judiciary Act of 1789 was enacted, set up the United States federal court system, and that's bullshit. The court system was already fucking here. It's already being utilized. That was the fucking house we were just talking about. All right, in 1862, Customs moved to 55 Wall Street, and the building served as one of 6 U.S. sub-treasury locations. Millions of gold and silver were kept in basement vaults until the Federal Reserve Bank replaced the sub-treasury system in 1920. 1920 Wall Street bombing across Federal Hall at 23 Wall Street, known as the corner of Wall Street, damaged, but Federal Hall not. September 6, 2002, U.S. Congress traveled from Washington, D.C. to New York for Federal Hall, National Memorial U.S. Symbolic Show for September 11, 2001 attacks. 4 blocks from former